Hello, and welcome back for another speed build video today. So for this video, we are going to be going through my Pride Shell challenge, which I just did a week ago. And this is up on the gallery already if you want to participate, and I'll get into that in just a second. But I have been streaming every day and plan to for the entirety of Pride Month, trying to raise money for the Trevor Project. And if you're not familiar with the Trevor Project, they provide suicide prevention support to LGBTQ plus youth. So this shell challenge is a little bit different from my previous ones in that I added a little bit of a fun challenge to it. So before even starting the shell, I went ahead and found this on wordwall.net where they have a lot of the pride flags, and I wanted it to be done at random. So I've spun the wheel and we got demiromantic pride flags. So the whole, oh man, I really wish that we had gotten lesbian pride flag. That's the one I really wanted. That's crazy that it landed on that for the video. Okay, but anyways, we got demiromantic, and if you're not familiar with demiromantic pride flag, this is what it looks like. So it's basically black, white, and gray with a pop of green. And I do think this is a cool little flag, and that I love the triangle on it, and the green being the smallest stripe makes it, I feel like, more prominent in a fun way. And that gets me to the shell. So on here, I do have it on the gallery again. You can search Pride Shell Challenge, or you can search my username, Dr. Sims, with 3 S's at the end on the gallery and find it that way. So we have our usual rules with, not changing the external walls, blah, 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 blah. Y'all know all of that. But I had an added challenge of choosing a pride flag that inspires the interior design. So if you want to do this, that's fine. If you want to do it random like I did, that I think is even more fun because it forces you to do something that you otherwise wouldn't. I wouldn't have done like black, white, gray with green as my build, but it forced me to do that. And so it was fun to kind of come up with this moody looking vibe to the house. So we're going to tour these on June 29th, and you just want to make sure that you upload it to the gallery with the hashtag Dr. Sims Pride Shell. That way I can easily find it and make sure that we tour it. This is what the shell looks like in its entirety. It's funky. It's a little bit funky. So I had the bottom floor done, and I was like, I want to add a top floor, and it is a tiny home residential. And so as you can see on the second floor, we get a bit of funk, and you might be able to tell that this is very inspired by the flag design and that it has the triangle with the stripe on it. So I wanted to incorporate the flag design into the build a little bit. So yeah, I think this is gonna be an interesting shell challenge for y'all. So I do wanna plug one more time that I'm fundraising for the entire month of June for Pride Month and for the Trevor Project specifically. And I just want to highlight this because it's very important, especially now because the current administration is pulling funding for all LGBTQ plus suicide prevention efforts, and that's not good, y'all. Like, they're single-handedly targeting one group of people, and it's just not right. Simply put, I'm not going to try to phrase it in a way that's eloquent. It's just not right. It's not right at all. So I'm trying to help raise some money for this nonprofit that helps in a lot for these children who oftentimes significantly do not have the support that they need in their household. And since they live with their family who may not be supportive, they have to be around people who are unsupportive 24/7. So this is really important to me. I grew up in a household that was not very accepting of this necessarily. So I just want to put that out there that this is very important to me. And it's crazy to see how in this video we started at $11, and y'all, we're almost at $800 already, and my goal is just $1,000. So I am very, very grateful for the support you all have had and shown for our community and everything like that. So if you cannot donate monetarily, just being in the stream, supporting the stream, being engaged with it, even just viewing it helps get the word out to more people. So I never want to pressure anyone to donate. If you can't, you can't. But if you can share the links to the donation page, that would be great. I have it linked below if you want to check it out. But getting into this build, I definitely had this weird shape going on, right? And I wanted to have the triangle in the back be a greenhouse. For some reason, I don't know why, it was just the design of that really, really spoke to me as being a greenhouse. I think anytime you have a funky shape in the house, turn it into a greenhouse. Like 9 times out of 10, it'll work perfectly fine as a greenhouse. Now, the one thing that was tricky with this, as is with any tiny home in any regard or capacity, is the staircase. Staircases are always the hardest part for me to figure out because I have it laid out the way I want to, or I have an idea in mind, but then I forget about the staircase and that I need to place a staircase somewhere. I managed to get it in this L shape at the front door, which helps define more of a foyer entryway space. So I thought it actually worked really, really well for this. And I got very fortunate that we had a really good green window that worked well with this vibe because we have that curved wall that I used as part of the front of the house. I'm curious to see what everyone else uses for the front of their homes, because I feel like you could use almost every side except the back where the flat part of the triangle is. That's a mess. Like, that's a nightmare. Let's not focus on that side of the build because it's pretty bad. And you can't add exterior walls to it, so it's kind of like you got to deal with it the best you can unless you add a balcony. So if you add a balcony, that helps a lot. I put a little custom pergola, and that helps a little bit, give some definition to the space with the porch under it. But for this kitchen, I wanted to do this bitonal cabinetry, which y'all are not surprised by. And I had this weird idea, as you can see with the cabinet here, to make it rotated and make more of like an L shape around the fridge. I just thought that was a really neat vibe, and it lent to the space by the window because we couldn't connect any cabinet to it in the first place. So I wanted something there to cover that weird gap, but I didn't know what. So I just took the cabinet and rotated it and fit it in. So now I put this raised platform for the dining space in that curved area, and I thought this was a cool vibe to put here because we have those 3 windows, and I always like to think of putting a dining space somewhere where you have a nice view or like a nice window space. I don't know, it's always a nice vibe to have somewhere where you can eat and look out and it be pretty or catch your attention or just be relaxing of a vibe. But also, who am I kidding, because most of us don't eat in a dining space anyway. Our couch is pretty much where we eat, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is, especially when you live by yourself like I do. So I'm working on this upstairs space. I had a nightmare with the floor plan on this part because I wanted a bathroom. I had a full bathroom upstairs with a bedroom, and then I still had the greenhouse space. And I wanted the greenhouse to have its own entry point, but that was not going to happen. There was just no way with where the staircase was for me to be able to put a hall to the greenhouse or anything like that that was going to work well. So I ended up just making it off the master bedroom, and I think that's still a cool vibe that you go through to your bathroom, and then off the bathroom is your greenhouse space, which might be a little awkward, but you know, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And what a vibe, like, to go into the bathroom and you have all this glass that goes to your greenhouse. I think that's really pretty to get some natural light in your bathroom. And so you have 2 balconies off of the greenhouse on either side. So sunrise, you can go on one side, and then for sunset, you can go on the other side. Now, we're working on the living space, which is a weird shape, to say the least. I've done a similar shape like this on another shell challenge, and it was a bathroom, but I call this like the Superman part of the shell. And I think it just gives vibes to, like, how are you going to lay it out? And it's always interesting to see what you can do. So I used the love seat with the lips as a way to define the space, and I didn't want to put a wall there. I wanted it to be open, but it helps define the area by putting a little diagonal there, and you can have some space to watch TV. I put a bookcase over there and just some nice rugs and decor. And so right now I'm just trying to get the layout of things. So I go back and clutter in a good bit, but I just needed to figure out what was going to go where. And so I did put a half bath downstairs. I was really wanting to have a dedicated study nook area or desk area, but I just thought it would not be vibes for your house guests to walk through your bedroom to get to the only bathroom in the house. So I was trying to think more realistically what would be nice to have. And obviously, like, just having a bathroom downstairs in the first place for your guests is kind of the nice thing to do because you don't want them to have to go upstairs and just to go to the bathroom. So I ended up putting the cozy kitsch rug at the front, which I think lends to the entire mood of the house. Right when you walk in, you get the idea of what's going on in this house because you have the nice checkered pattern. Oh, I just realized this. What a funny coincidence. But then you have, you know, the green, white, black color scheme. For the bedroom, we'll get to that in just a second. But you can see I'm putting the Pride bed that we got with the Pride collection recently. Now, the wood frame is brown. They don't have a black swatch for that. So like I said, it gets a little interesting in the bedroom, but I think it comes across really well, and I think I pulled it off. But this desk from high school years is one of my favorites, and we had this dark black swatch with the dark blue color. And I hint at that just a little bit throughout the house, which I think is really cool to have a nod to this extra color that's not in the pride flag that we're supposed to be using, but I do think it's a very, very subtle way to incorporate some color. And then you can see I have this purple rug in the dining room, which might seem weird, but the wallpaper in there has this little bitty purple flower, I think it is, design on it. And so I wanted to accent that color a good bit more because, again, everything is black and green. So I didn't want every item to be black or green. I wanted to still have some color in the build, and that's what makes it, I think, more vibrant and fun. But I do get this dark blue color that I was mentioning. I put it in the living room. It's in the rug. It's on a couple of items in there. And then I also do it upstairs. And so I'll probably hint at that a few times throughout the video, but I'm very proud of that. I think it's a nice subtle detail that people wouldn't or like normally see or pay attention to otherwise. Now, I did put the kitchen clutter fridge in here. I didn't have it originally, so I just wanted to have a little bit more of a cluttered look to the kitchen fridge, and it just looks cute. I think it gives it a little more personality than just a plain fridge would. And then for the kitchen space, I'm like putting a lot of the kitchen clutter stuff in. I got a little carried away. I really love that kit. It's one of my favorites now, but I pretended like this person living here is a baker. So I did the whole setup. I put a mixer on the far left, and then I had the dough prep area, and then where you go and roll out the dough and cut them into cookies. I wanted the whole shebang on this, and so I went all out and put that in the build, and I think it just makes it tell a story a bit more, which if you're new here, I really like to tell stories with my builds, and I usually like to come up with a story before I build. That way I can know and picture the sim who's living here. But obviously for this, I had no idea what the shell was going to be. I had no idea what the color scheme was going to be. So I can't really prep too much ahead of time for that. So I think it's nice to like put my feet to the fire sometimes. It's just like you got to come up with something on your feet to figure out what's going to be the story here. So I went all in with the cooking, baking aspiration, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. And then I put these Home Chef Hustle shelves in the corner, which I think lends to a really nice vibe for a corner piece, especially when you have windows on both sides. Sometimes it's weird if you put an upper cabinet that's really bulky, because a lot of the ones for the corner come out and they just have that little front cabinet on it, and it just looks really awkward. So I always go for open shelving there. I think it just makes it look a lot better and come to life a bit more. I'm putting all the lights in now, which y'all know is like one of the last things I do. I don't like doing lighting in The Sims. I think it's always an afterthought to me, and I think lights and fun light fixtures can really bring a space to life a good bit more, but I just don't like to think about what I'm going to put as the lights. It stresses me out a little bit, just like the shades do, curtains do, that same thing to me. I wish that I didn't have to think about that as much, especially for this build. It was a little bit tricky to get curtains that would fit and work well with these windows. When you have the windows with the big bulky frames that come inside the house, sometimes a lot of the ones that I like to use clip, and they just don't look as great with those. So these are really big windows and they're bulky, so it's hard to find something that works really well. But as you can see here, you can see in the rug I have that dark blue color, and then in the light from Cozy Kitsch I put by the sofa, it's the same thing. It's some dark metallic blue color. So I tried to have some nods to that throughout the build. So now I'm starting to clutter up the living room space. I used a lot of Cozy Kitsch. That came in handy, I guess, with the color. The green color that it comes with is just very nice for the vibes for this house, and it matched a good bit. I know I say vibes a lot. That's like one of my go-to words. I'm really sorry about that, and I'm probably going to say it at least 20 more times. But I really try to go for the right aesthetic. Whenever I go all into an aesthetic, I want it to be perfect. I want it to be chef's kiss, you know? So what I did in the living room with this lighting, I put these two light fixtures together, but I changed the size of each one of them. And I think whenever you do stuff like that, it makes it look more like a custom light in some regard, because it's like the same design, but it's different size. And you know, in a lot of modern homes especially, they have light fixtures that are like that. So that's what I was going for. If it looks a little funky, I was also going for that, but that's what I was trying to pull off in that space. I cluttered up the bathroom a good bit and the shelves. And then for these Cozy Kitsch cabinets over here, I wanted them cluttered up. I put some books. I put the radio. I love the radio from that kit. It is one of my favorites. Put a little plant. And then for this bathroom space, the hardest part was figuring out what I wanted on this wall by the door, because it was a blank wall. I knew I wanted to put something there. And I kid you not, it took me probably at least 15 to 20 minutes to figure out what I wanted there. I was putting pictures all over the house, and I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't put this in the living room. Let's move it to the dining room, and then put this one from the bathroom in the living room, and put this one from here into the bathroom. I had this like whole group of pictures that I was trying to move around the house, and it just would not work. And I finally came across the new gallery wall from Businesses and Hobbies, and that was the best thing I could find for that bathroom. The bathroom was a little bit different, and I wanted to make it a little bit different, so it's a dark brown color in there, and so it's not like a lot of black, but I really loved that high school years tile that I put in there. I've never used that swatch before, and the green was such a pretty color, and I just thought it matched really well for the house. So I was like, let me do a brown tile to bring that in a little bit more, because we do have a little bit of brown in the tile, and I think it looks really pretty. So yes, I got off a little bit for that, but you know, I have a reason for it. I used the green tile that went with the flag, and I had to have a floor that looked good with the tile. That's how it goes, you know? So now we're getting up into the bedroom space. Now, I told y'all that the bedroom was a little bit weird with the color scheme. First of all, I was trying to use that Pride Collection gallery wall, and we can't size it down because there's one object that's a mirror on that entire wall, so you can't change the size of it or else you make it look wonky. And so I even just moved the window over so I could put that in the bedroom because I was like, I have to have that in the bedroom. So finding a dresser was a little bit challenging, but I came across the for rent dressers, and they have the same exact color swatch and vibe that's from the Pride bed. So for rent matches really well. And then it was also, I think, high school years. I can't remember. There was another pack that I used that had the same wood tone that matched really well for the Pride bed collection. So I pulled the for rent dresser. I got the for rent little nightstand, and it matched the shelf as well that we get from the Pride collection. So it all came together a pretty good bit. Oh, it was businesses and hobbies. Actually, the wood tone from businesses and hobbies, because I put the one tile desk in here from that. So it all matched, but it is weird to have a black with a sandy brown wood tone. I would never think to do that, but I actually think it's a vibe. I really do think it's interesting of a combination, and I did it for all of the big furniture pieces. So it's not like sporadic in that some of the furniture is black where some of it is brown. I think I pulled it off. I would like to say that I pulled it off. And then I had to do something fun with the wallpaper in here. So I did the like little tile looking mosaic wall for the green. And then I put this gray black gradient wallpaper in the rest of the room, which I think is perfect for this build because we get black, white, and gray in the Pride flag. So it was like a no-brainer. Let's do something that incorporates, you know, all those colors collectively. And so I put the little candle tray with books on the bed. I think that's a cute little nod and vibe to the whole room and space of that. I was picturing someone who really liked outdoors, nature, and reading. So that was what I was going for. And I put a lot of the comfy gamer stuff in here because, again, that green color works really well for this space too. I put the cow plant by the window, and then I used this board shelf display that we got as well from that, the pegboard. And then I put some games up there, the little cat picture, which I think is really cute. And then I put the little seat over there in that corner. So it's like if we have a guest come over or something, hang out in the bedroom, we can pull that out if we want some extra seating. And then I wanted to end up putting some really funky light in here. I've only used this light, I think, in one other build, and it's really big, so I always have to size it down because it somewhat looks awkward, and it's hard to look over it because you can't like see through it. It doesn't render out like a lot of the other lights do. So I bet in gameplay it's not very fun to use, but thankfully for me, I don't do a lot of gameplay, so I don't care necessarily. I try to keep it in mind, but I did like the way that I layered the rugs in the bedroom. I forgot to mention that, but I think it's a really interesting combination of rugs that I put in the bedroom space with the black, white, gray, and then we have that purple one with the little bit of like a splatter design. Now this bathroom, I went back and forth on so many different floor tiles, wall tiles, and different combinations of them all to figure out what I wanted. I actually cut out a good bit of that in this video because it was embarrassingly long. And I went with this Home Chef Hustle tile, which you might be thinking, Matthew, that doesn't have green. It's not just black. Why did you use it? It has that dark blue color. So I put that dark blue color in the bathroom. It's literally only in the toilet space. So I used the green swatch of the Home Chef Hustle tile in the actual bathroom space. But the toilet one, I used the dark black, red, blue color scheme. And I think that's a really, really fun way to incorporate the two because you could imagine someone has a bathroom with the same tile design, but then in one place it's like just a different color, whereas it's a different color in the other space. So I think it works really well. And I used Life and Death and Sleep bathroom kit for the sink and the shower and the toilet. So it ended up working out really well. I wanted like an actual shower as opposed to just like the Sleep bathroom kit's shower head faucet. And I think it ended up matching pretty well actually because you get this nice pop of gold and it just looks really aesthetically pleasing. And then for the toilet space, I didn't do much in here. I put a shelf with a little bit of clutter, and then I ended up using the blue swatch of that. And then I put some plants on the wall and called it a day with that. But as you can see, I had to put Phil in here. That's Phil. He's our favorite little house plant. He pushed Fernie the Fabulous out of the #1 ranking whenever Sleep Bathroom Kit came out. I'm sorry to say, Fernie, we still love you. And your time was short from businesses and hobbies, but you're still in this build. We put you outside, so don't be sad. Now I'm just trying to like figure out the hall space. It's not much of a landing, or a hall really for that matter, but I wanted to put some pictures up here, and I just think it lent to a vibe. I put the plants on that one wall where the window is shining in, like facing in, so it's like the sunlight hits that wall, and that's how we have plants there. Y'all, I do overthink this sometimes, I know, but it helps me make decisions, and that's what I need with this game because there are so many options. I need to talk myself into a decision. So with this greenhouse space, I had a lot of fun with this. Yes, it's a funky shape, but it actually wasn't hard to work with. I think plants are one of the easiest clutter items that you can use in funky spaces, which is why I also recommend using a greenhouse in funky spaces, funky shaped spaces, that is, just because you can fit pretty much anything in any corner when it comes to a plant. Like you can size it up, you can size it down to fit any shape anywhere you need to. So I actually put different hanging plants in the corners to make it look less like a sharp corner. And so I used the big Bloomin' Rooms plant that has the really long spread of leaves on it. That's really pretty. It's like a pothos plant. And the left one, and then on the right side I ended up putting that light with the hanging plant, which I think is really pretty. And I swear, like if I had something like this on my house, I would be in it all day long, all day every day. I think that if I could have something like this to keep me preoccupied, I would probably enjoy being home a little bit more than I do currently. But anyway, don't want to go on that tangent necessarily, but I put the little rug that looks like flowers, like grass with flowers in there, just as a cute little vibe. And then I put these hanging plant things. I always forget about this from Lovestruck. I used them so much when Lovestruck first came out, but ever since then, it's like I just completely have forgotten about them. But every time I remember after I've already done the greenhouse, and I'm like, oh man, I need to squeeze this in somewhere. And so as you could see very briefly, I ended up putting that leaf pattern on the ceiling, which I think is a really cool vibe for the greenhouse space, and I'll show you all that a little bit better whenever we tour it at the end. Now, if you see this painting just floating in the air, that's because I alt-placed it into the stairwell. It's annoying that it does that, but the original like size of the painting is massive, and I really wanted it in there, and so it's just reading in as if it's on the first floor because it's so big, but I sized it down. I put some nice little furniture on this side of the house because, again, this is the side that faces the sunrise. So I put the coffee stuff on this side because I was thinking in the morning when we have coffee, like that's when most people have coffee anyway to start their day. So it's like you can go outside, watch the sunrise, have your glass of coffee, read a book, whatever you do to start your day. And then on the other side is where I focused more on the greenhouse vibes. I put some potters out there. I had the other table with some gardening supplies on it. And then we're working on the outside now, primarily. So we have shifted to the exterior, which honestly, I really love and hate at the same time. I think the exterior can be so much fun, especially when it comes to landscaping and things like that. But at the same time, it's like such a blank canvas. It's hard to figure out how you want to use exterior spaces for each home because every home is so unique. So it's not like something that's as templated as you can use for rooms inside homes. So I don't know. I love it, but also hate it at the same time. But I did this like little custom waterfall on the front porch, and I put the little ivy plants inside of it, like they're growing in the fountain that waters it. And I thought that was really pretty. Like I could just imagine in my home having that as you walk up to the front door, how pretty that would be and how like calming it would sound. So I put a bench on the other side so you could just go outside, sit down, watch it, and just relax. I did make this little weird rooftop area, a rooftop garden space. Not that it's accessible, but just putting some greenery up here. Now, I did match the vibes around the neighborhood. Obviously, the color of the house does not match the neighborhood at all. This is in Ciudad, and obviously a black house does not belong there. But the roofing on the houses around this lot do have this area where it's just flat and they put a little half wall and left it empty with just a tile on the roof part. And I matched the vibe of that around the neighborhood. So it fits in with the neighborhood as far as the style is concerned or like how it's used. But other than that, it does not fit in anywhere because it's a solid black house in Ciudad. So this is where I start working on the custom pergola, but I wanted this like really fancy vibe. I don't know, whenever I think of a solid black house, I would think that it's maybe a little bit modern, but also just has like something to it that's a pizzazz of some sort that makes it look very rich in a way. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a vibe that I feel. So I was like, I have to put a pool. And the nice thing about pools is that they take up a lot of space. So if you're ever wondering what to do with a house, and you have a lot of backyard space or side yard space, put a pool, because you can make that thing as big as you want, and it is intentional. Like, your Sims can use it. It's something functional. It can give them some fitness. Yeah, you can do so many things with swimming, and it increases your fun. Like, it just works. Just do it, okay? Just put a big pool. If you don't know, when in doubt, add a pool. That's what I always say. But I did this like fun column combination. I took the column from Strangerville and overlapped it with the column from Get Together, and it is really pretty. I was not vibing with the columns at all. I tried so many different combinations of columns and where to put them, and I tried this different column on this part of the house with a different column somewhere else just to see how it would match and work well together. And it was just not vibing, and I accidentally did it because I think it was deletion protection was on, and I deleted a column, and you have to have it off or else the column pops back up. So I'd placed the other column I was considering, but then the old one popped up and it overlaid it. Y'all, I've never been so happy that I forgot to turn deletion protection off, because I just created a new item in The Sims. And I think it looks so cool because we needed the black, white, and green. And I thought the columns were too white. And so it worked really well to overlay it with the black column. And you can see it here. Like, you can see what they look like. I think they look super, super cool. So I'm sorry I'm like getting super gagged over it, but I'm like so excited about how it turned out. I thought it was really awesome. I'm embarrassed to say how many times I moved these lounge chairs, but I moved them at least 6 or 7 times. Not in a row either. I would like add more stuff and then I'd move them down and sideways. You can see right here, I'm like, I'm moving them so much. And then I move them at least 3 or 4 more times. I add an umbrella. It wasn't fitting right, so I scoot them over. I add a bonfire pit behind it, and then I have to scoot them down further. These lounge chairs were a nightmare to work with. And the thing is that this patio space was so big, I didn't want it too close to the pool because that left too much dead space. But then I also didn't want it to be all the way up to the pool so people could walk around it more easily. And so I wanted to have it closer to the back. So it was a whole thing. But then I got the idea of doing romantic garden stuff because we were doing a demi-romantic pride flag inspired build. So a lot of the landscaping is primarily just inspired from the romantic garden stuff. That worked out really well. I love the fountain that we get with overgrown plants in it. So that is the first thing I put down that inspired it. And I was like, let's go with this overgrown, kind of messy, but also neat look to it. So a lot of the landscaping looks like a hot mess at first, but it comes together, I promise. In my opinion, it comes together. It is a little bit funky. It's not landscaping that I normally do. And I normally also just don't do garden beds, like flower beds, where I have the little fence around it and fill it in. I like open landscaping. So I don't like to have it framed around the house or something like that, because then I feel constricted and then it's just harder to work with the space sometimes. It's a little bit different from what I usually do with landscaping. So I was out of my comfort zone. I was trying to stick primarily to white flowers because, again, black, white, gray, and green, well, we don't necessarily get a lot of black or gray flowers. I found the really dark ones that we have from base game. I think they're technically like a really, really dark purple, but they almost look black, so I put those all over the place. And then I added just a lot of white flowers. Obviously, the green is just going to be from the leaves. Like, I can't find a green flower. I'm not going to put that in anywhere. I do think we have some green flowers in the decor, but not for the outdoor plants necessarily. So that had to be the green. And then I just filled in this row over here with trees. I thought that was a really pretty vibe to put by the fence. It was annoying that this lot comes with a fence around it because obviously we can't touch beyond the edge of the lot. We can only put the fence one tile away from the edge. So we can't even put the fence all the way to the edge of the lot, which is obnoxious. So I was like, I can't put a fence inside of a fence because that just looks weird. And so it was just an awkward lot to work with, I think. And then I have this fountain at the front with the little bench with the cover over it. And the idea with that was that we had a little space where people on the sidewalk could actually come in and just sit on the bench on the corner of the lot. Like, we're okay with that. Yes, they're technically trespassing, but it's there for them if people want to like just take a second to relax and hear the water by the fountain and just all of that good vibes and fun stuff. So I took a lot of landscaping and sized it down. I took the shrubs, sized it down, and then I took what you're seeing here with the flowers from Island Living, sized those down and put them there. And then I put some of the decor for the fountain as well. Now, I put these life and death lights. This was a whole nightmare in and of itself. I cut out a lot of it from the video, but it was taking me forever to find the right size where they actually connect and fit within the size of the pool and the area around it. That was the hardest part. Obviously, you always have to just get lucky sometimes that they fit very well, or you have to do something funky. But I like used the tool mod to a T and got it to the 100th of a decimal just so it would actually fit correctly around the pool. And now I'm putting like some flowers up on the pergola. I always do this. Like, I love it. Whenever I have a pergola, I always put plants on top of it. I just think it's such a vibe to imagine that they're growing on top of the house and all over the place. And I put ivy all over the house. On every side of the house, there's ivy. So I thought it just matched the vibe anyway, that we have it a little overgrown with the rooftop part as well. And we have a greenhouse. So it's just like, we love flowers. We love plants. They're everywhere, all over the lot. I put a little cooler, and then I ended up putting some bees out here. I know that's a little random, but I just wanted some more stuff that your sim can interact with and engage. So I put a chess table outside. I went back and put a guitar inside. I have a bonsai tree off one of the balconies. So I tried to put in some skill building stuff as well, but it ended up being fine because, again, it's only one sim that's living here. So I was just imagining, there's not too much more that you'd want to do. And granted, if they got married or something, then obviously two sims could live here, but you don't need a plethora of things to do necessarily. And I added the little hanging plants on the porches. I thought that was a really pretty vibe. And now I'm just putting some trees in, some last minute touches. And so let's go ahead and jump into the build. I'll show you all the final product. So this is the lot I built it on. It's a 30 by 20 lot in Ciudad. And look at that. Our sim is in the pool. See, it's a good thing we added that. So this is the build. I added some dragonflies around the fountain. I just thought that was really pretty. But I love showing it in live mode so you can see the water fountain features and what it looks like. But like I said, it's like fun chaos with the landscaping. It's overgrown, but it's also tamed. It's just this overgrown, like with the ivy coming over the border a little bit, but it's like organized chaos. And then we have like the ivy growing up on the front of the house here. Little hanging plant area. There's our little fountain feature on the front porch as well. And then we also have this little fountain on the side of the house over here. So there are fountains and water features everywhere. Like, you have the pool in the back, obviously, little bonfire area. And then at nighttime, you can see the lights out here. Such a mood. I love it. It's so fun. Let's head inside. So once you come inside, you have your little entryway here. I have the pride flag and then the little shelf here to hang your keys. To the left, you have that dining space. So really cute area with the purple. You can see like what I was talking about in the wallpaper here. You have that purple, and I really wanted to bring that out a lot more. But I left it pretty simple. We have this really cool, the parquet flooring on the rooftop. Our desk nook over here off the kitchen. I put the little fruit basket here. I thought it fit really well for that awkward space that we had. And then all of the baking stuff, really fun vibes in this kitchen. I love this little caddy island that we get because oftentimes when I have L-shaped kitchens like this, and the cabinets don't fit here, it's too bulky, this is such a great thing to use now. So I'm really happy we have an option for that. And then this is the living space. So this came together. I moved some things around since the speed build, but I put some board games in. We have some nice cluttered decorative items. There's our little custom light fixture that I did. I saw someone in my last show challenge actually use this as a table like this with a lamp and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to start doing that. So I put this little plant holder and put a lamp on it. And y'all, this is such a cute way to incorporate this that's not super bulky with a table or something like that. But I put some extra plants here, the trash cans there, and then we have our little bathroom. This is the gallery wall that I was telling y'all. Like, it fit really well with the vibes with the tile in here, I thought. But nice little bathroom space. And then the door off the living space is how you get to the back porch. And then we have a little flower arranging table. And then we also have these fountains by the pool. So we have lots of fountains everywhere. And then as you come upstairs, you can see I put like the little gallery wall here. This is the painting that's floating in the air. That's technically still connected to the first floor. Another painting there. I put a mirror here, and then this is the bedroom. So I really, like I said, love how this turned out. I think it looks beautiful. It's an interesting vibe. I put this mirror here, and I think that's really cool looking to have your mirror be flat up against the wall like that. It's a full mirror. It's like the full length of the wall mirror, and we have our dresser, have some workout equipment, and then we have our bed area over here. I think that this wallpaper with the green is so cool with this bed. And then I have my little guitar over here, some nice clutter, desk space, and then we get into our bathroom, which I think is also just a mood, little cute vibe. Our little potty space right here. I have this from Dine Out. Now, this is not how it looks originally. The lily of the wall comes out like this, but I alt placed it into the wall. And I think it looks really cool as like a little inlay of some sort. And then we have our greenhouse space right here. So you can see what I was talking about. I put this hanging light plant over in that corner, and then I put that hanging plant in this corner. And like I said, it just helps define the space, and it fits these awkward angles a pretty good bit. And then we have our little greenhouse space over here. There is the leaf pattern on the ceiling. I just think that's really cool. I put the pavers with the weeds growing through them a little bit on the floor. Such a cool vibe. And then I have the bonsai tree on this side. Our gardening stuff's over here. And then I put this little hanging garden on the side of the house too, which I think is a cool thing to use. I've not used those very often. I don't even know if I have used those before. I've seen them before. And then over on this side is where we can sip our coffee and watch the sunrise. It is currently sunrise right now in the game. And so we have our little telescope over here, just some nice seating areas, some plants, and then that's our little rooftop garden area. So this is the build, y'all. I love it. I think it turned out really well, and it's on the gallery as Shades of Maybe. Check it out. I'd love to know if you play in it, and I'm really excited to see what you all create. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much, and if you want to donate to the Trevor Project, I have that linked below. Again, no pressure, but if you could share the link, if you're in other Discord servers, get permission before you share it, but would appreciate that. Send it to your group chats, anyone and everyone who you think could donate. And then I'd love to have y'all join us over on Twitch for my daily streams. I have that linked below. We have some fun streams coming up, and my mullet wig Joe is coming out for a stream next week. You don't want to miss that. And on that note, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Bye. Y'all, I do think we need to do more random wheel generator builds, because this is something I would have never thought to do aesthetically, and I think it turned out really, really cool.